Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is Mindy here, and I hope you had a fantastic weekend. We had a really nice weekend. The weather was gorgeous here, and we spent a lot of time outdoors. I also made an awesome breakfast spread yesterday. I've been learning my way around a kitchen a little bit more through the pandemic, and maybe I'm not that good in the kitchen because I had a little incident with bacon grease, but outside of that, it really was a super nice weekend, and I hope yours was the same. Today I wanted to talk about a few more fragrances that I brought into my collection in the month of April. Most of these I've sampled before, a couple of them were blind buys, but all of them are great fragrances and I'm really excited to have them in my collection. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first fragrance I wanted to talk about today is Atara by Malul. I spoke about this in a review a couple weeks ago. I was really excited to bring this fragrance into my collection. The bottle is stunning, and I'm interested to see what else this fragrance house has to offer. Now, this is one of the more underrated fragrances that I've noticed in 2021. I haven't heard a lot of people speak about this. In fact, the first person that I heard speak about this fragrance was Sheree Lewis, and I loved her review. It was very inspiring, and it made me want to go out and buy this fragrance, and I'm so glad I did. I am really enjoying it. This is one that I'm reaching for quite frequently, and to me, it's really unique. Now, it's similar to other gourmand fragrances, yes. So when I think about gourmand fragrances, it reminds me of, I think about La Vie Belle, I think about Angel, and that it's fruity, it's sweet, it has sort of an earthy quality that keeps it from being cloying, but it really is a nice fragrance. There's a very present pear note that sets it apart from other fragrances like this. And in the notes, there is pear, there's praline, there's patchouli, vanilla, and tonka bean, all notes that I really enjoy. And so I knew there was a good chance that I would enjoy this fragrance. I do. It dries down to a warm, alluring, fruity, vanilla praline fragrance. And this is one that I'm completely happy to have in my collection. I do recommend people try this out. Maybe try it before you buy it. I do find this to be a fragrance that most people would consider mass appealing, and it has converted over to a love in my collection. It's one I'm reaching for quite a bit, and if you're interested in additional detail on this fragrance, I encourage you to go back and watch the review that I've already done on it. But for me, this is a great fragrance, one I'm excited to have in my collection, and definitely a win for the month of April. The next fragrance that I want to talk about is a little bit outside of my comfort zone, a little outside of my wheelhouse, but I ordered this fragrance for my husband. It is Amen Pure Havane by Mugler, and I've heard so much about this fragrance. There are three reasons I really wanted to buy it. First, people talk about the cherry tobacco accord frequently, and I had to know what that was all about. Second, I'm a huge sucker for tobacco fragrances. I tend to really enjoy them in men's fragrances. And then lastly, I heard this compared to Burberry London, which Burberry London was one of my very first favorite fragrances that my husband came across many years ago. I love this fragrance on him, and so hearing the comparison between the two made me very curious about this one, and I was wondering if I would have the same reaction with this one as I did with Burberry London. So in this fragrance is tobacco and white honey, and you definitely pick up on that honey note. There is vanilla, cacao, and patchouli, and I do pick up a little bit on the cacao as well as the patchouli. And then there's amber, French labdanum, and styrax. So the first thing that we picked up on this fragrance, both of us noticed it, was that it sort of reminds us of a vacation scent. The name Pure Havane sort of gives that away a little bit, but it definitely transports you somewhere. And this would be a fun fragrance to buy for your male partner, or even if you wanted to try this, because I do think that some people would find this to be unisex. It's such a good fragrance to pick up and take on a vacation. So I'm a huge fan of side-by-side comparisons. So one of the things that I did a couple nights ago was I put Amen Pure Havane on one hand and I put Burberry London on the other hand to compare them and see if they did smell similarly to me as other people had mentioned. And I did think they had some commonalities. Now, to my nose, Amen Pure Havane tends to be a little bit sweeter, whereas Burberry London has a little bit of spice to it. And yeah, I'm picking up some spice here. That probably has to do with that cinnamon note in here, maybe the woods that are in it, but I do get a little bit more spice, maybe a little bit more character here, whereas this one tends to be really sweet, but really nice. Now, one thing I will say is that when I had this sprayed on my skin and I pressed my nose against it, there was something I was picking up that I wasn't crazy about. Now, I liked the fragrance a lot, but something was lingering there that I found to be ever so slightly off-putting. And I think that just has to do with the fact that I was pressing it against my nose, that I was getting just a high concentration of the fragrance. I did ask my husband to wear it yesterday, which he was glad to do, and I thought it smelled amazing on him. There was a beautiful scent bubble from this fragrance. The sillage from it was very appealing, and so I do like it. I would probably rate this around a 7, 7.5 out of 10. This is a great fragrance. I'm really enjoying it. It does seem to be mass appealing from everything I find from the reviews. It seems to be highly rated. Definitely one that I like smelling on a man. That being said, I'm still trying to navigate this fragrance, and I'm not sure if I would want to smell this over a lot of the other fragrances that my husband has that smell really, really nice. So I'm gonna continue to play around with this one, explore it, and see where it lands in the future. For now, I'm enjoying it. That is Amen Pure Havane by Mugler. The next fragrance that I added to my collection is Nuit Trésor Musc Diamant. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I'm a fan of the Nuit Trésor line by Lancôme. This is just a beautiful fragrance. I can't say enough about this fragrance, and I'm actually surprised by how much I like it. I generally don't love musk fragrances, at least that's been my experience in the past. I like it in fragrances, but in this one, it is sort of a noticeable accord. It is a prominent accord, and it's in every level of the fragrance. So in the top, you see white musk and raspberry. In the mid, it's white musk, damask rose, freesia, and jasmine. And then in the base, you also have white musk, vanilla, almond, sandalwood, and patchouli. So it's very present in this particular fragrance. But with the raspberry and the vanilla, it is warm, it's alluring, it's almost sensual, and I love it. I'm also picking up freesia, which I really enjoy in fragrance as well. And yeah, this is just a beautiful fragrance. When I think about somebody who would wear this fragrance, it's soft, it's not in your face, but it's beautiful. So I think of a woman that might be comforting, that might be dependable, someone you can rely on. And so when I'm thinking about Mother's Day coming up, this might be a really nice fragrance to get for a mom because it does have that comforting quality to it. Just a reminder that Mother's Day is Sunday, May 9th, so that's 13 days away, enough time to pick up one of these fragrances. And I would say that expands actually to the entire Nuit Trésor line. I just think they are such beautiful fragrances, perfect for a mom. I think any mom would be happy to have them for a Mother's Day gift. So just think about that as you're preparing for your mom for Mother's Day or another mom in your life that you might want to buy a gift for. Nuit Trésor, really any of the flankers would be a nice gift for a mom. Another one that comes to mind is maybe a Mon Guerlain. Those are also classy and elegant. And when I think about a comforting scent, they come to mind also. So just think about that. Mother's Day is coming up. Again, that is May 9th in 13 days. Okay, the next fragrance that I've recently added to my collection is Princess by Kilian. And to be honest with you guys, I've been exploring Kilian a little bit, and I haven't quite found my favorite Kilian until now. I've tried Love Don't Be Shy, which I think is a beautiful fragrance. I think it's white floral, sweet white floral, done very, very well. It's lovely, but it is just a like for me. And for a fragrance in that price range, it really needs to be a love for me to add it to my collection. I've also smelled Good Girl Gone Bad, and that one is also okay, but it's a little floral heavy for me, so I haven't been able to really consider adding that one to my collection as well. Although I know both Love Don't Be Shy and Good Girl Gone Bad are very popular, very loved fragrances. So recently I've been really wanting to get my nose on a really good marshmallow fragrance. I've been exploring marshmallow fragrances a little bit, and one thing I've found is that a lot of times they are overly sweet, overly sugary, and that is not the case with this one. So in the fragrance there is lemon, there's green tea, ginger, peach, jasmine, and apple. And then in the base there is marshmallow, vanilla, and benzoin. And this fragrance is unique to any other marshmallow fragrance I've smelled before. The green tea and ginger in this fragrance sort of balance out that sweetness from the marshmallow, and this one just comes together so beautifully for me. It is balanced, there's a little bit of floral, a little bit of citrus here, but the benzoin and vanilla at the base just make this a stunning fragrance altogether. It's one I'm really enjoying. It's one I'm reaching for quite frequently. This is probably one that you might want to consider trying before you buy it. I generally think it's a very likable scent, but I also recognize that some people may not be crazy about this profile because of that green tea and ginger. If you're a traditional gourmandie, those aspects of this fragrance may not be very palatable to you. But also thinking about the flip side, somebody who finds a lot of the gourmand fragrances to be overly sweet, overly sugary, this might be really refreshing to you. You might really enjoy this as a gourmand fragrance, so definitely one you might want to get your nose on if you're in one of those camps and you want to explore a little bit. You want something outside of that traditional gourmand profile. This is one I suggest getting your nose on. That is Princess by Kilian. The last fragrance I wanted to talk about is from the collection Extraordinaire line by Van Cleef and Arpels. It is Bois Dore. And I've spoken about this before when I had the sample. This is one of my favorite fragrances at this point. It is intoxicating, it's alluring. It's one of those fragrances that I have that your eyes roll to the back of your head type reaction. I love it that much. This will bump somebody out of my top 11 fragrances. This is moving to the top of the list. It's in my top 3 to 5 fragrances at this point, and I am completely enjoying it. I looked back at my notes from when I first smelled this fragrance. I first got a sample in 2020, and this was one that I had written down as being too masculine for my taste. I spoke about this in another video. I was completely in shock when I looked back and I rediscovered this fragrance because I'm in love with it. Yes, I do think it can be considered to be a little masculine by some people. This would smell amazing on a man, but also it has this softness. It has sort of spiciness as well. I think that women would love to wear this also. If you're not afraid of a unisex fragrance, this is definitely one to check out. I historically have gravitated towards feminine fragrances. I'm exploring unisex lines a little bit more these days, and this is one that I'm just truly enjoying. The notes in this fragrance, mineral notes, black pepper, maybe that's where you get some of that spiciness that I mentioned, vanilla, almond, tobacco, and cedar, and then at the base is tonka bean, teak wood, and musk. I was a little apprehensive about the mineral notes at first, but they come together beautifully in this fragrance. It is well blended. This is just one that you have to get your nose on. It's difficult to describe, honestly. From this fragrance, I pick up smoothness, almost creaminess from the almond. It's slightly powdery from the tonka bean, and you get a little bit of that tobacco in the background. Just a stunning composition of notes. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I just love this fragrance. This is the kind of fragrance, if you smell it on somebody else, you're gonna wanna cozy up next to them, you're gonna wanna smell that scent profile. This will turn heads. I sprayed this in the evening once, still had it on in the morning, and I could still, it's my scent of the day, of course, still pick up on the scent profile. So the longevity seems to be strong. Just an all-around excellent fragrance, one I'm truly enjoying. It is moving up into my top 11 fragrance list, and that is Bois Dore by Van Cleef & Arpels. All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoyed my 5 new fragrances that I've added to my collection in the month of April. All of these are lovely fragrances that I'm really enjoying, and I can't wait to get more wear out of. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, a thumbs up, and until next time, I'll see you soon.